I'm Holly.
I'm Leslie.
And we would be dead. Hey, Leslie.
Hi, Holly.
Hey, Fiends. We have good news.
Ooh, do we?
Yes, we do. We're back to weekly shows.
What?
I know! No more every other for you guys. But we will be doing something a little bit different, which I'm going to introduce to you all in just a second. But before we do that, you guys just have to know that getting back to very full time is leaving us a bit stretched.
Oh, uh-huh.
We're a little stressed.
Yeah.
A little pale, a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
We're having the worst time bouncing back. And if anything, you know how much we care about our complexion.
Oh, yeah.
It's not doing us any favors in that regard.
No. I'm so tired.
I know. And nothing seems to work.
Mm-hmm.
No creams or balms.
No.
Nothing. But I have heard of one magical and not your butt. I have heard of one magical and very important ingredient that may just do the trick.
Okay.
A little pinch of
validation. A hill worth dying on.
Spiritual this week.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I hope there's a choir in the back with that.
Oh, me too. And best of all, Leslie, our fiends can give us this priceless ingredient free of charge.
Really?
Yes.
How?
But how, you must be asking yourself. This is a very exciting time. Well, I will tell you. Simply head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and or a friendly review.
Okay.
It really is the only way to move this podcast forward. Ratings and reviews equal attention, attention equals support, and support equals more and better content for all of you.
Oh, you learn something new every day.
You sure do. And we have more now, so it's working.
Okay.
See that?
It works.
It does. It works. But if you just can't wait for more We Would Be Dead in your life, and who could, don't worry, you don't have to. You can support us over on Patreon. Oh. There, for just a few dollars a month, you will gain access to our entire catalog of 30-minute horror movies, our special mini-sodes, our weekly after show, Host Mortem, which is available in both video and audio formats. Maybe you want to see our faces. Maybe you don't. Both are okay. See our faces, but it's okay if you don't.
It's okay. It's fine.
You'll also gain access to our monthly true crime documentary club, Let's Talk Docs.
Ooh, ooh.
So fun. Last month, we talked about the Nickelodeon expose Quiet on Set, and woo, that was a good time.
Yeah, it was not quiet on set for us.
It sure wasn't. It was a very engaged conversation. And up next on May the 22nd, we'll be discussing the documentary-adjacent Netflix limited series Baby Reindeer, which I just finished.
I'm on episode 2.
Woo. That was so much. This is so much.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the breathing through phase yet, you know. That's
just when you get there, man, it is a lot.
Yeah.
This was requested that we do this. I get it. And it is based on a lot of true events, based on a true story. So like it's not totally far away from the documentary format, but wow. Also, guys, don't go look for the real people, please, because the internet has done that. And now one of the bad guys is like famous from it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very dangerous.
Yeah.
So like, don't get sucked into that. I just have to make that warning because I finished it today and I was like,
yeah,
don't let this woman find him. Anyway, so that hopefully will entice you to come and talk about Baby Reindeer with us. Don't sleep on Let's Talk Docs, you guys. It is quickly becoming one of my favorite nights of the month. Super fun.
And I love to sleep, but like, don't sleep on this.
Don't do it. Sleep later.
Yeah.
Stay awake for that. Patrons will also get a special gift in the mail from us, the opportunity to participate in some giveaways, merch deals, an on-air toast dedicated just to you, and more. So much. We're always thinking of things to give our patrons. We're trying very hard. In all honesty, we are here thanks to our patrons. So come on over and be part of the We Would Be Dead family. And if all of that is a little too much for you, you can simply follow us on social media. We are at Would Be Dead Pod anywhere and everywhere you get your content. You can like our posts, share our posts, like and share our posts.
Yes.
Do that one. Leave us a comment, post about your favorite episode. Let us know when you're listening. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell that one neighbor you always wave to but have never said a single word to in your entire life. What's their name?
Oh, I guess that's the point, though. Like, we don't know their name.
You got to give them a name. That's the thing. Maybe it's on their mailbox.
Right.
Maybe it's just a Mr. or Mrs.
Right. Like,
the somethings.
Right. Like the Allens.
Tell the Allens. It's going to be really weird that you've never talked to them before and you just run over and be like, hey,
yeah,
listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
But do it.
Right.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because we said so. And then your friends and the Allens, they could be cool or not. We don't know.
Yeah.
They can become fiends and we can all hang out together.
Yeah. I like it.
They're going to show
Now I'm
up.
imagining Alan from Barbie movie.
Oh, whole family.
Michael Cera.
I love that. Invite that. That's great. Okay. Also, we don't want to forget that we have another campfire story night coming up, which I think we're pinning down that date this week. Yes?
I think we're going to pin it down. Well, we might have just done it.
We may have.
But
we're in the process.
But maybe we'll work on it so that we'll have another week.
Yeah, keep your eye out in the next couple of days on our socials. We will let you know. Just one eye. Yeah. You have other things to do with the other eye, especially if you're me and
Unless
they can just move independently. Yeah.
Then you keep
it on us.
Keep that on us.
Yep. Do it. Keep an eye out for that notification. You don't want to miss a campfire story night either. It's super fun. I think that's all I have in the way of future announcements for this week. Leslie, do you have anything to add before we begin?
Yes. This week, I will be sending out some more patron gifts to some of our new patrons and some of the other ones that have been waiting for their patron gifts. So they're coming out.
Be a patron and get a gift.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We got things.
All right, then. On with the show. So you're the weird friend. Congratulations.
Yay.
So am I. And you found yourself in a group conversation that turns to the bizarre. And you think to yourself, hell yeah, this is my time to shine. People talking about like murders or weird stuff or folklore. I'm going to nail it. But then things take a turn and the conversation settles on something dark that you are unfamiliar with.
Oh, no.
Bad. And everybody's going to look at you. They're going to want to, they're going to be like, well, you know this, right? Give us all the information.
Yeah. What do you know about this?
What are you going to do? Maybe you didn't watch the documentary because you forgot, or it's not exactly your favorite flavor of weird, or maybe you weren't an adult when this thing happened and you've just kind of been faking it whenever it comes up. Or maybe it's something really well known that just like didn't catch your spooky research obsessed brain on fire. So you just kept swearing to read about it later, but later never came. Either way, now you're stuck.
Oh, no.
Do you pretend to be in the know and risk saying something stupid? That never ends well. Be like, yeah, I know. That was when they found that. It was a bad thing. And then your friends are like, nobody ever found anything and you feel really stupid. Or do you admit you've never heard of this thing and risk losing your dark encyclopedia credibility? Don't worry, fiends. We've got you. Welcome to We Would Be Dead Presents Case File TLDR, your cliff notes on the noir. So every other week, we will give you the essentials that you want to know in a rapid fire format. Nobody needs to find out that you think BTK is a Korean boy band. We're here to help, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be like I think other podcasts call them mini-sodes.
Yeah.
So they'll be smaller every other week, but we're going to provide you all of the jam-packed important information on cases that you should know about, but maybe don't.
Okay.
All
like
right.
It.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
I know. So first off, BTK is a serial killer, and I think BTS is a Korean boy band.
Yeah, that's
right.
Correct.
Don't make that mistake in conversation, though. Nobody
No.
Nobody's okay with that.
No.
Not the teens, not the weirdos. Everybody hates it. So that's not a super forgivable one. Second, have you ever wondered why missing child bulletins are called Amber Alerts?
Yes.
Or maybe you don't even know what an Amber Alert is. And if that's the case, I'm going to assume that you're listening to us through the air vents of an abandoned hospital. And maybe you needed one of these at some point yourself. Are you okay?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, not good. But for everyone else, the phrase is so ubiquitous that if you don't know where it came from or what it means, you're probably not about to admit it, right? An Amber Alert uses the emergency broadcast system, which is that loud buzzing sound and blue screen of death that breaks through television shows and the silent mode on your phone to inform the general public of a child who has gone missing. So this is how we know when a kid is reported missing and in danger. There are a few requirements for an Amber Alert, but they are a state-to-state thing. And most of them are that the child has to be like in imminent danger, or like their life or their welfare is in danger. It can't just be like, oh, they went off with their parent or something.
Mm-hmm.
Although parent abductions are very real. So alerts usually will contain a description of the child and of the likely abductor if they have it, or the car that they were last seen traveling in. That's pretty common. It'll be like child, 3 years old, blonde hair, brown eyes in a silver Chevy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually about what you get in an Amber Alert. And let me just find those requirements because I feel like I didn't say it. Okay. So law enforcement must confirm that an abduction has taken place. So we have to know that a child has been abducted. The child must be at risk of serious injury or death. Those are the words I couldn't find.
Okay.
There also must be sufficient descriptive information of child, captor, or captor's vehicle in order to issue this alert. So we're looking for somebody or something. We're not just like, kids missing. Ugh.
Yeah.
We have to have a lead for the public to go on.
Okay.
And the child must be under 18 years old. In the United States, the alerts are distributed via commercial and public radio stations, internet radio, satellite radio, television stations, text messages, and cable TV by the Emergency Alert System and NOAA weather radio. You can also get them via email, electronic traffic condition signs. So those like signs that are out that say like wet road or whatever, they will also give Amber Alerts. And like we said originally, through like a universal text. So usually they also scare the bejesus out of you.
Yeah.
Because it is the loud buzzing sound that comes out of whatever device you have telling you what's happening. But that's good. It's with good reason because we all need to see them. So now that you know what an Amber Alert is, perhaps you can try and figure out the rest of it with context clues, right? Sure. Silver alerts are so called because old people have gray hair, right? And therefore Amber Alerts could be so called because children are orange. I assume it's all the Cheetos they eat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is a fun assumption, but it's definitely wrong. Also, silver alerts do not just refer to the elderly. They're also for adults with cognitive or developmental impairments.
Okay.
And that's usually somebody wandered off, less that someone is abducted. All joking aside, you'd be surprised how few people realize that AMBER is an acronym that stands for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response. I didn't know that part.
No, I didn't either.
And that those letters were specifically chosen because of a little girl named Amber Renee Hagerman. So I knew it was named after this case, this child. I did not realize it was also an acronym.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Learned something new.
I did learn something new.
That's the fun tidbit at the party.
Yeah.
And like, if that's all you need to know, and then you could just walk away.
Just fade off
Truth
into
bombs.
the distance.
Yeah.
Did you guys know this? Bye.
Bye.
And then the Allens are like really dark and weird. And they're like, we know.
We know.
We've been subject to several Amber Alerts. And then we're like, why do we invite them? That's why we only ever waved. Anyway. On Saturday, January 12th, 1996, 9-year-old Amber Hagerman, a third grader from Arlington, Texas, went to visit her grandparents with her brother Ricky and her mother Donna. As the afternoon wore on, the kids began to get bored, like kids do. So they asked if they could ride their bikes around a little bit. Kids had gotten new bikes for Christmas, so they brought them over to their grandparents' house with them so they could do this specific thing. You know, got to give kids stuff to do. And this was Donna's childhood home. So she had fond memories of pedaling around on her own bicycle as a child. It was very safe. Nothing had ever happened to her. So she always let the kids go. But she did warn them not to travel more than a block. And that's pretty common. your parents would be like, you can ride your bike by yourself, but just around the block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like that was like, when I was a kid, that was a common phrase. It was like, I can go around the block, but that's it, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me. Not anymore. Now you can't go out of your parents' eye line. But back then, yes. The kids waved goodbye at 3:10 p.m. and by 3:18, Amber was gone.
Ooh.
So the pair had pedaled to the end of the block, but Amber wanted to go 1 block further to the Winn-Dixie, which is a Southern grocery store and sounds a lot more whimsical than a ShopRite.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a grocery store. It might be like a
it
convenience odds and ends type store. It doesn't really make a difference, but it's in a strip mall in Arlington. It's like a, but Amber wanted to pedal around in the smooth asphalt of the large parking lot. And there was a ramp there that she and her brother would go down. It was like really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, let's go ride down that ramp. It's going to be fine. It's just an extra block. They're never going to know. We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
And her brother at first is like, sounds good.
Right.
Her brother, who is 5, by the way.
And it is a supermarket.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't really go into
Winn-Dixie. It's like a Publix and...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like...
Yeah. Much more whimsical than ShopRite or Publix. Winn-Dixie.
Winn-Dixie.
Probably like a horrible Confederate general I don't know about or something, but still.
Yeah.
So they get to the Winn-Dixie parking lot and Amber's like, this is going to be so much fun. And Ricky's like, okay, I'm coming. And then they ride around for a couple seconds and he starts to get that nervous feeling in his stomach. Ricky, her brother, does. And he's like, we are breaking the rules. And
this would be me.
It would. And when I wrote it down, I was like, this is Leslie. It would probably be me too, honestly. I don't love breaking the rules. And which makes you more scared, when you're like, something bad's probably going to happen. This is probably, they're going to find us right now. And so he, of course, had the sudden urge to turn around and just go all the way back to his grandparents' house. He's like, we can't just go back to the block. We have to go home.
Right.
But Amber thought he was being kind of silly. And she wanted to stay and keep going down the fun ramp. And said if Ricky was scared, he could go back without her. And so he did. Imagine being Ricky. I can't. Ugh. He's just a baby. He didn't know.
I know.
But still, when he arrived back to his grandparents' house alone, Ricky's mother and grandparents were not very happy, obviously. And they told him he had to go back to the Winn-Dixie and get his sister. They're like, okay, we'll go get her,
Yeah.
Which to me, I was like, you didn't want them to go that far in the first place. But then I thought, it is only 2 blocks away. And if he was just there and you think she's just like messing around in the parking lot, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But by the time Ricky made his way back to the Winn-Dixie, there was no one in the parking lot.
Oh.
Once again, he pedaled back to his grandparents' house, this time with more urgency. And once he got there, he told everyone that Amber wasn't there. So Amber's grandfather, Jimmy, then got into his car to go look. Now, kids hide. We have had this discussion before. We've had this discussion when we did Megan Kenka's case. This one is quite similar, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And while you want to immediately get mad at cops saying, like, well, we have to check in all the weird places because kids hide, it has proven time and time again to be true. They do. They will go, like, duck under a bush or find a cool basement or like go into that building. It just does happen.
I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't make me mad to have the police say that and then look.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me mad when they say we need 24 hours.
Yeah. Thankfully, that doesn't happen with this case.
Right.
Or when they say, like, guess they ran away.
Well, it's like, so the fact that they're like, okay, well, like, we just need to look around, like, look,
And this isn't even, cops aren't even involved yet. This is grandfather.
Okay.
He goes, little brother didn't see her, but little brother is also panicking.
Yeah.
So he may have just got into the parking lot. Maybe she went in to use the restroom.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really know. You can't immediately assume the worst.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, their grandfather, gets in the car. He goes over to the Winn-Dixie. And when he is pulling into the parking lot, he sees police lights, which is never good. He notices that they are gathered around a specific thing. Like they're looking at something. And as he gets closer, he can see that they're looking at Amber's bicycle.
Oh.
Yeah. The police, so he walks up to them, obviously. They inform him, after they find out who he is, that they were there because they responded to a call from a man named Jim Kevill, who lived just next to the Winn-Dixie. Now, Jim is like super helpful and compliant. So the cops telling his name to Amber's grandfather does not raise any red flags to me. This man was like, how can I help? This is my name. What can I do? I'm right here. I'm assuming this guy was like came outside and walked over too, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because he lived just a chain link fence away from the Winn-Dixie parking lot. So like it was the end of the strip mall parking lot fence and then his backyard grass. So when he phoned the cops, he said he had just seen something horrible happen. He was standing in his backyard and he watched it happen.
Oh.
So according to him, he said, quote, he saw a little girl, Amber, riding up and down the parking lot. She was by herself. He said, quote, I saw this black pickup. He pulled up, jumped out, and grabbed her. When she screamed, I figured the police ought to know about it. So I called them. Good on you, Jim. He also informed the police that Amber had tried to kick the man as she was forced into the truck. So this guy was like, I am watching a kidnapping. I need to call the police.
Yeah.
Now, Jim also was, unfortunately, he died just a few months after everything happened. He was a U.S. Navy veteran and a former sheriff's deputy, so he knew what needed to be done. He's also about 78 at this time. He told the police that he hurried into his house to call 911 immediately, but he did see the kidnapper pull out of the parking lot and head west on Abram Street. So this guy's fucking on it.
Yeah.
Right? He described Amber's abductor as white or Hispanic. He just knew he had basically fair skin. A man who was in his mid-20s to mid-30s, under 6 feet tall, with a medium build and brown or black hair. His truck was a single cab pickup. It was in good condition, solid black, no chrome or stripes. Police have said they believe the truck was to be an 80s or 90s full-size fleet-side pickup with a short wheelbase and non-sliding clear rear window. Now that's a lot of information.
That's a lot of information.
Right? It's more than a lot of like missing kid cases.
Like immediately.
Yeah, right? Like someone watched this happen. That's more than most people ever get in cases like this, which, as we will find out, and as you can probably tell right now, is a stranger abduction. They are much more rare than like somebody you know abducting a kid. But this turns out to not really be enough information, unfortunately. Amber's abduction was front page news the next day. And it was on the 11 o'clock news that night. Police and FBI put all their best efforts into locating her. Photos of her fair, freckled face and glossy blonde hair were all over the nightly news, on the front page of the newspaper nationwide. Missing posters covered the state of Texas and beyond, but there was still no trace of Amber. And this went on for 4 days. And it was enough time for them to have like pink ribbons out for Amber. And like they were calling her Arlington's Angel. And it was like this big push to find this girl. It was not quiet.
Right.
But 4 days after her abduction, near midnight, a man walking his dog discovered Amber's naked body in a creek behind an apartment complex with severe laceration wounds to her neck. And the site of the discovery of her body was less than 5 miles from the Winn-Dixie that she had disappeared from. So she had never gone far.
Right.
Which is always very difficult. According to autopsy reports, Amber died from the lacerations to her neck. They said she had been like stabbed in the throat. She had also been sexually assaulted, and it is suspected that she had been kept somewhere for as many as 2 days. Yeah, before she was ultimately killed and her body had been dumped in this location. However, those 4 days wherein she was missing, there was like a few pretty big rainstorms, which is detrimental to a body, obviously. And so it's very hard for them to tell exactly when she died and was put there. I mean, we've
but
talked
they
to,
think that it's at least 2 days.
it is at least, they think that she was kept somewhere for a couple days before she was killed. However, that small span of time, it can be hard for a medical examiner to tell. She could have been killed right away. We don't 100% know. I don't know which one is worse. Jim ultimately was the only like witness to come forward and be honest with who they are. Like other people said things, but Jim is their only actual witness, right? That doesn't mean there isn't anybody out there who knows more. This is a public place. She was in a parking lot of a Winn-Dixie while it was open on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And there are houses all around.
Yeah.
And cars. This is like a strip mall. They're not usually on quiet dead ends. They're on like pretty busy thoroughfares. So it's weird to think that nobody saw it, right? There's also a laundromat right next door to this Winn-Dixie, and police believe others may have seen it from there, but they were too afraid to come forward. Police say they want to allay their fears. They just want information. It's okay. Because they also said that a lot of the people that were in this laundromat possibly were not in this country by legal means, and they were afraid if they said anything, they would end up deported.
Yeah.
So they just want people to know that, like, that's not what we're looking for. We just want information. It doesn't matter. We're not checking into you. We just want to know that. Since the time of Amber's death, over 7,000 tips have come into the FBI and Arlington police, but none have panned out. So this case is still unsolved.
Wow.
And we have like no information other than that initial report.
Which just feels like enough.
It does feel like enough. It sure does.
I wonder what does it say if the police? Okay, so when they called, when that guy called Jim, and he said the black van like
pickup truck.
Sorry, thank you. The black pickup truck like went this way, went west. Like, were there just cop cars at least going that way, like to find this, or do you think that they like went to the site first?
I think they went to the site first.
Yeah. Which is so hard.
And then they were like, well, some of you have to go this way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm sure, I don't know how many got notification at once, but here, that exact moment is why Amber Alerts are important and where they came from. Because if you know right away, and everybody knows, like the public at large knows, a black pickup truck just left the Winn-Dixie and traveled west on this road. There is a small child in the back of this car with a man that is fair complected, close to 6 foot tall, and has dark hair. Somebody is going to see that truck.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to see it. It's just going to happen because
that's true.
Everybody knows at once.
Yeah.
And we have a direction. So everybody on the road that their radio says, hey, look for this. Yeah. You're immediately looking around. And if you see that car and you see a kid fighting in the back of the car, you're calling the cops right away.
Yeah. Okay.
So as of 2021, the case is still open to this day, by the way, guys. It has not gone cold. The definition of cold is no reports, no activation on the case for over 180 days. That has not happened as of yet at all. Yeah. So as of 2021, cops also revealed to the public that they have been able to recover some DNA, which they hope to be able to test and familially link to Amber's killer, ultimately. We still don't have any word of whether that has happened yet, but that's the kind of thing that requires patience and people slowly, like, logging their DNA into websites where they want to find their ancestry and stuff. So we just kind of hope that that's happened. I mean, that's how they got the Golden State Killer eventually. It just happened that his, family was on one of those sites. That's all. So here is your wiki legal roundup or how this bill became a law on the Amber Alert. So within days of Amber's death, her mom was, quote, calling for tougher laws governing kidnappers and sex offenders. And her parents, Amber's parents, soon established an organization called People Against Sex Offenders, or PESO. Which to me implies that there are people for sex offenders. And I don't think, doesn't matter. Anyway, they collected signatures in hopes to force the Texas legislature to pass more stringent laws to protect children. I mean, we want them everywhere, right? But there really isn't a point on this yet. They're like, just do more, which I get that. I get that impulse, but there's not really more they can do, right? So Congressman Martin Frost, with the help of Mark Klass, who is Polly Klass's father. Polly Klass is another girl that went missing, very similar case.
Okay.
And he was friends, I believe, with Amber's father. So that these two guys who both lost daughters are like kind of spearheading this movement. So they drafted something called the Amber Hagerman Child Protection Act. Both of Amber's parents were present when President Bill Clinton signed the bill into a law, creating the National Sex Offender Registry. So this was all part of Megan's Law, too. This all kind of came together at the same time. Amber's parents then began collecting signatures in Texas, which they planned to present to then Governor George W. Bush as a sign that people wanted more stringent laws for sex offenders. But again, this isn't really a petition. It's just that everybody wants you to do something,
Right.
So in July of 1996, a man named Bruce Siebert, whose own daughter was a close friend of Amber's, and Richard Hagerman attended a media symposium in Arlington. And Amber's dad had a whole speech prepared, but day of the event, the organizers asked Bruce, the other guy whose daughter was Amber's friend, to speak instead. I'm not 100% sure why, but in his 20-minute speech, he spoke about efforts that local police could take quickly to help find missing children and how the media could facilitate these efforts. So his point was, it's not just the cops. You need to get the media on certain information right away. so that the public then also knows,
Mm-hmm.
which is smart. Then a reporter from a local radio station approached the Dallas police chief shortly afterwards with these ideas and launched the first ever Amber Alert. So really, this was like a huge united effort. Diana Simone, a Texas resident who had been following the news, so she's following this whole chain of events, contacts the radio station after she hears this Amber Alert thing and proposes that broadcasts engage passersby to help locate missing children. So she's like, it's not good enough to just say, here's something that happened. You have to say, okay, this happened now. If you are on the street, look, right? And her idea was picked up, and for the next 2 years, these alerts were made manually by participating radio stations. So it was just radio stations who was doing this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in 1998, the Child Alert Foundation created the first fully automated national alert notification system to notify surrounding communities when a child was reported missing or abducted. Alerts were sent to radio stations as originally requested, but this one also included television stations surrounding law enforcement agencies. Because remember, it wasn't until like sort of recently that all cops talked to each other. Things were very insular for a long time. This information also went to newspapers and local support organizations. The alerts were sent all at once to pagers, faxes, emails, and cell phones, with the information immediately posted on the internet as well for the general public to view. So following the automation of the Amber Alert, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children expanded its role in 2002 to also promote Amber Alerts.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find them on Google Maps. If you're on Google Maps at the time, it will come up and say, at this location you're looking at, this happened. So then you can go and look online. People can find these locations online and see if Google cameras have captured anything. It's definitely expanded a lot more since it started.
Yeah.
And as of December 31st, 2023, there have been 1,200 children successfully recovered through the Amber Alert system. So it works.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And there were at least 180 children rescued because of wireless emergency alerts. It is remarkably effective. And it has been since the moment of its inception. Since it went like nationwide, it immediately worked.
Right.
So the first child ever rescued by a successful Amber Alert was a little girl named Raylee Bradbury, who was taken from her home in Arlington, Texas at just 8 weeks old by a babysitter. 2 days after Raylee disappeared, the newly created Amber Alert system, and this is in Arlington, by the way, the same town that Amber was kidnapped from.
Wow.
Which is pretty weird. It went out and it disseminated this information, and it helped someone spot this babysitter's turquoise truck in just 90 minutes. Raylee was found by police asleep in the car seat. She was dirty and hungry, but otherwise totally safe.
Wow.
Yeah. Amber Alert goes out 90 minutes later. They had that baby. So it works. And now you know.
Now I know. And now I want to know what's up with that babysitter.
Yeah, that's a whole other case. And if this were a 90 minutes to 2 hour episode, I would be telling you everything about her. But that's not for today.
All right.
But yeah, guys, that's why they call it an Amber Alert. And so when your phone does make that sound, make sure that you do pay attention to what you're seeing. Look at it. Look at it. Look around a little. And hey, maybe look on Google Maps. Jesus, I know. I didn't realize that we have so much. I mean, there are so many more security cameras now. Just think about, like, they're everywhere. Traffic cameras. It's so easy if the police find out this person left this location in this car at this time, they can find that car on a camera somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Knowing's half the battle, you guys.
For sure.
Toast. So many. Well, first of all, to Amber and her family, because without them, I mean, 1,200 children to date would possibly still be missing.
For sure. Yep. Cheers.
Cheers.
To Jim.
Yes, to Jim. Oh, God rest his soul. Jim, that absolutely was such a heroic action to be like, see it, continue to see it, log that information in your brain, and then also pay attention to everything. Like, what does the guy look like? What does the car look like? Where is it going? Where did it turn? Okay, now I have to tell the cops. That is so much information. And I think my impulse would have been to like run to the phone as soon as humanly possible. I wouldn't have had that information to give him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I know, or at least, I guess you would have had like some of that, but not that information of like
Well, now we'd have
where
a phone
they drove off to.
in our hand, probably.
Well, yeah,
but in 1996, not as much. I'd be taking freaking video of it. But
right.
Like, still, that guy thought very quickly on his feet.
Well, but
and that's amazing.
even that, like what you just said, like taking a video of it. Like I don't even. Again, I probably instead of taking a video,
You
I
gotta
would
call
have
the cops.
called.
Yeah. It's
But
hard.
But it would have probably been more helpful to take photos and a video
That's the
and then
thing.
be like, and then call
that
and be
moment
like,
of pause. If you think I can't stop this, I can't stop it no matter what I do. The least I can do is have the most information to tell the police possible. So that's like such quick and good thinking on this man's part. I would panic right away.
Yeah.
So cheers to Jim.
Yeah. We also have a new patron.
Yay!
So give it up for Joey.
Cheers, Joey.
No.
Thank you.
Yes, Joey.
All right.
He's a boy band member.
Love it. Stay away from the Allens. I heard they have Amber Alerts against them. Anyway.
Part of the BTK group.
BTK is my favorite pop band. They're amazing.
And he's a best fiend. So thank you, Joey.
Best fiend. We love it. Thank you so much. And if we were mortified because we had no idea where the term Amber Alert came from, we would be dead.
Thank you for listening to the We Would Be Dead podcast. Hit subscribe now to never miss an episode. Rate and review our show on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Would Be Dead Pod. And join our Facebook group to discuss the podcast and more.